not just Donald Trump. Emboldened by today's Supreme Court victory on the travel ban, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is lashing out just moments ago at what he called the lunacy of the left over immigration.
The rhetoric we hear from the other side on this issue, as on many others, has become radicalized. We hear views on television today that are on the lunatic fringe, frankly. And what is perhaps more galling is the hypocrisy. These same people live in gated communities, many of them, and are featured at events where you have to have an ID to even come in and hear them speak. They like a little security around themselves. And if you try to scale the fence, believe me, they'll be even too happy to have you arrested and separated from your children.
Give Jeff Sessions this. I am radicalized over starting child prisons on the border of our great nation. I am radicalized that children are being transported in the dead of night from the ages of 3-month-old to 9 months old. Children across the country. We all should be radicalized and say this is abhorrent to everything we believe in as a country.
I guess that makes you a lunatic fringe.
But yes. How abhorrent for him? I mean, the president reversed his policy because his favorite news network was no longer a safe space for him. I mean, the idea, the projection that they engage in suggests they all belong on medication.
And are we at the point where we're joking about this? I mean,
right, are we at baby prison joke phase?
I mean, the Attorney General just delivered one. I mean, clearly feeling good about today's ruling, you know, believing this administration is going to pursue these policies going forward. But that's a very, very tone-deaf remark.
And you at least makes a good point. I'm radicalized by this, too. These are infants that we now know from child advocates and pediatricians have suffered trauma that will be with them for the rest of their lives. I think the question isn't why are their critics radicalized? It's why aren't you?
Well, I remember the good old days when there were attorney generals who could read. But putting that aside for a second, you know, this is someone who's talking about a lunatic fringe, who's talking about child separation and internment camps for babies and toddlers, and justifying it through scripture a week ago. I mean, it's just such complete and total nonsense. I mean, he is responsible, along with Secretary Nielsen, for implementing an evil policy, a inhumane policy, a cruel policy. And people should be outraged about it, that this would be happening in the United States in 2018. I mean, this harkens back to the worst abuses in the history of the country, the separation of families on the slave auction blocks, the breaking up of Indian families, the taking from Native Americans. Right? This is awful, awful, awful stuff.
I got to tell you what's really scary about this also. The noise versus news. I had a very good friend of mine, an educated friend, a guy who makes 7 figures, lives in New York City, said to me, so wait a second though, Trump didn't start this thing. We live in this world where we know the truth, but the average American buys what he says now. Democrats gave me this. So there is everything he's doing.
Well, not all of them. I mean, I think you have to have faith in people are smart and they go and find their. But 40% of the country, right?
But no, this was not part of the 40%. This is a friend of mine, an educated guy. And he was like, really? I said, no, Jeff Sessions put this in play in May. That's where oh, yeah. We have nice audiences here, and compared to the 300 million people in this country, it is still very small. His game is working.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.